No doubt. Hey now, what is going on, fam? It's your guy JG here on the Brain Drain. Post-basketball edition. I'm going the wrong direction, aren't I? No, I'm not. There we go. You're supposed to be over there. Hey now, what's going on? It is another beautiful Tuesday, and it's beautiful because we had Auburn basketball tonight. Oh, yes, and we had an interesting game of Auburn basketball tonight, which is our favorite kind of game. They're not necessarily competitive, but they can be compelling even if they're not competitive. Anyway, guys, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here as part of the shindig. And, yes, the Auburn Tigers were victorious tonight, 81-66 over South Carolina, a game that, let's see, it was a little bumpy in the very beginning, right? And then Auburn extended it out to like 12, 14 points, something like that. South Carolina made a nice little run there midway through the second half. Kind of took advantage, I thought, of Zep Jasper a little bit when he was running the point. And then they switched to Wendell. Jabari hit a little turnaround there at the elbow, and boom, it was right back on again. It's just a situation where they kind of have to regroup sometimes, and that's fine. The good teams can regroup, and this team has shown time and again that it's certainly capable of doing that for sure. So, word. Hornatius says, tell me about football. Football? What? It's basketball season, bro. So it looks like Sam's providing us some updates on the UK LSU game, which I'm interested to hear if you guys want an update. I know it's been tight, and that is a game that those of us from the Auburn persuasion are very interested to see how that works out. LSU is a team that, to me, is not a great team. They don't play great team basketball, but they have some great players. Long guys, bouncy guys, and they're going to cause problems for teams that maybe aren't as well coached. Kentucky, to me, looks really good. They have good players, and they are well coached. And, of course, the Auburn Tigers, you know what time it is there. Let's go ahead and bounce over to our team screen. I had to change it up just a little bit because I added a little thing down here called Channel Legends, and you'll see these scroll by as we work it out. I know Crocky Poo was not on this, and you should be, so I was thinking about that. You're a guy who has done so much for basketball awareness and knowledge on the bunker. Yeah, and so I will add that for sure. Believe me. And a lot of the legends that I mentioned here, folks that have been with us like every single Brain Drain, football, basketball, et cetera, et cetera. I appreciate you guys so much, and I just wanted to be able to show you guys how much I appreciate it. You can see what I'm talking about. Those of you who are on the show all the time, you're going to recognize these names. So anyway, appreciate you. Pocket Watch jumps in with a super chat as well. What an absolute legend. Pocket Watch is there. I mentioned this on the Brain Drain. I'm sorry, the rundown today, that we had a group there representing the bunker, AuburnSports.com in Columbia from the suite. So that's really awesome, Pocket Watch. And, BP was kind of shouting you out, at least indirectly, about the witnesses that were there for the game today, the folks that were willing to travel, because the tickets are easier to come by away from Auburn than they are at Auburn. Fat Crack jumps in with a super chat. Hey now. Says, let's go, Ward M. Eagle, JGT. Wow, Wendell Green Jr. is the real deal, man. He was a huge pickup, and I love Lord Bruce. Oh, hey now, I'll give you that one for that. Oh, yeah, Wendell Green had a terrific game. They were trying to play some games with him defensively. They were trying to extend really far out, which is something South Carolina tends to do. They're a very defensive-minded, physical bunch. And when they did that, who typically isn't the quickest guy around, was able to beat his man, and once he does that, it collapses the defense badly, and he was able to kind of pick out passes. Some of them went for buckets straight away. Some of them just created leverage to then someone else get an assist or a bucket, and then he scored 22 points tonight on 7 of 15 shooting, and I thought he was terrific. Hit all of his free throws, 7 of 7 from the line, and I can't really show it here, but I did post the post-game wrap right before we came on the air here, and he was my player of the game. Probably no surprise to anybody. I thought he was terrific, and he tends to be terrific, and I'm with you completely, Fat Crack. This was a great pickup. I know that there were some folks who, when Bruce goes and plucks a kid from Eastern Kentucky, you're like, really? But listen, man, this kid can play. I think it's pretty obvious. The only question was always just his size. He's a little short, and people just wanted to make sure, I think big schools want to make sure that he could play with explosiveness, and I think he's answered those questions. Tonight was a particularly notable performance for him. Ravine jumps in as well. Looks like we added another layer to our game tonight with those passes under the basket. Great road win. Absolutely. Leor Berman had one of those. A dish to Walker for us, a flush. And I'm trying to think, Jalen found Walker also in transition for a nice flush, little reverse. For you and I, it would be very difficult to get up and do a reverse, but for Walker, since he's in such good position under the bucket, he just kind of goes back up and flushes it. And he was terrific tonight as well. He's a guy that, you notice Walker probably more on the defensive end because he alters so many shots. He blocked 4 tonight, altered probably another 4 or 5. He's just such a menace defensively, and it changes everything they can do defensively. It's crazy how Auburn defensively was kind of struggling last year, and then all of a sudden you add a couple on-ball defenders, specifically Zepp and KD. You put someone like Walker protecting the rim, and, dude, it's just it's a totally different deal. Yes. Let's see. Brandon T. Says, literally imagine this team with Flanny at full blast. A little surprise there at the end of the game, or I'm sorry, before the game started when we found out that Al wasn't going to be playing. BP said he wasn't feeling well before the game. I tend to think that's not a COVID thing. I think, there's some stuff going around that's not COVID. It's like kind of flu-like. I had it myself last week. It only lasts a day or less than a day, but anyway, it kind of mess you up. So I think that's what Al was working with today, and it's good news because he's a terrific player. I thought he was really kind of coming into his own in this last game, and he didn't need to miss any more time. So I'm hopeful that he will be available for the Florida game coming up this weekend. Stoop up in the house as well. Said, love the hustle and spirit tonight from Auburn. I did tweet about that. Not that Stu got that idea from me. I'm just saying I tweeted about that, and I said this Auburn team, to me, is going to be very difficult to beat for anybody. I'm talking Gonzaga, Duke, Kentucky, whoever, if they're playing with that spirit and that passion that they had tonight. I mean, we saw it tonight. They don't necessarily bring it every night, but tonight they did. And, wow, when everybody kind of plays a role, this team is really tough to stop. In fact, they don't get stopped very much, and it's going to take a special team to do it. Some of the funny things that struck me tonight, I mean, the usual guys were good. I mean, Wynn was good. Walker was good. Jabari didn't have a big night statistically. My eyes are not as good as they used to be, but let me see what he had. 10 points on 3 of 8 shooting. 1 rebound. That's not enough. That's just not enough rebounding for a guy. I mentioned this in the piece. With his height, his talent, and the minutes he gets. He's got to do better than that. So I didn't think he was quite as engaged as normal, but he plays with a lot of spirit all the time. So if you're looking for a team to have that spirit... Goodness. Why not AU? My goodness. Thank you, sir, very, very much. I'm coming back to you. I've got a solution to the problem we talked about late last week, and I've got a solution going to be coming to you tomorrow, leaving tomorrow. I'll mention that to you privately. So with Jabari, not a great night tonight. He kind of was working his way in. Didn't have a great night, but if you're looking for that spirit and that passion and you feel like Auburn's got to have it to win big, keep playing him because he's going to give you that spirit. No doubt about it. Corey Dubb, one of our Montgomery guys, says Zep put on a show tonight for his peeps from Augusta. Great point. I thought he was a little weird at times. I thought he was a little, the thing that jumps out to me about Zep more than anything is just his lack of turnovers. Like, he's a guy that you play 20 minutes a game and he'll give you 0 turnovers, maybe 1 turnover. And then in that second half funk, he had 2 turnovers on back-to-back possessions, and then he had some weird shots. And I just thought it was a function maybe of him being back in kind of his home state. I mean, he played in College of Charleston for a long time. He had a lot of family there at the game tonight, so I just thought he was maybe, just kind of having to deal with that a little bit and working his way through it. Yeah, Fat Crack jumped in. Also, we're getting to you. Why not AU? Unbelievable, dude. How long till Green takes the starting role, or does Lord Bruce like his change off the bench? Yeah, Bruce mentioned that today in the postgame. Love what he's bringing off the bench and the way he's coming in there in the first half, and then he finishes games. I think he loves this dynamic. I don't think Wen has a single problem with being a reserve. I don't think he cares at all, and I think it's working great. Look at this super chat from you got to consider him the GOAT. Patrick D, a.k.a. Why Not AU. War Dam, love the dog in this team. There was a lot of dog in this team today, and an air horn for that one. My goodness. Patrick D., thank you, brother. And again, as I mentioned, I got a solution to the problem we talked about last week. Whew. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. You've been insanely generous for a long time, and it's very much appreciated, sir. Sam H., also, who would be on the Mount Rushmore, says Wendell does provide. Oh, here, I need to put that up so you guys can read it. Wendell does provide that spark of offense off the bench in case Jabari or Kessler don't score early points. Yeah, I like Wendell coming off the bench, and he doesn't care. I mean, don't think for a minute that this is bothering him. Tonight, I think he had 28, 29 minutes, so he gets plenty of court time. So he's getting what he wanted by coming to Auburn, by leaving Richmond and coming to Auburn. He's getting what he wanted, and he's getting a chance to showcase his game and be part of a great team that's going to challenge for a national title. I believe that about Auburn, and I did not hear it, but folks were saying in the pregame or the pre-show that Damian Fishback was saying that as much on ESPN tonight. So I'm not surprised at all to hear that, because this team, this team has a very high ceiling. That's for sure. Kyle S. says Jabari needs to be more aggressive. Yeah, to me, that's something he's working on. It's kind of like a tempo thing for him. But again, you talk about a true freshman. I know we think of him as like a superstar, and I think he's going to be a superstar, but he's still learning. Horace from 3 says it was Jabari's poorest passing game. Yeah, I didn't notice as many passes from him. Usually there's 2 or 3 that he makes a night where you're like, whoa, and I don't remember any tonight. Blake R's in the house, one of our newest bunker members, but a long-time hand here at the Brain Drain. Appreciate you, bro. Glad to see you. Stoop Up says 7 points in the last 6 minutes for Jabari. Yeah, including that turnaround on the elbow, right? That was a big time, kind of a catalyst, and got them going. For show. Let's see. Patrick D says, let's talk about the effort from Semo. Great point. Got overshadowed a little bit because there were some other dudes going off tonight. But, yes, Semo had been basically flatline, right? Is that fair to say, for like the last 3 or 4 games? And I came out tonight and played with unusual intensity, particularly in the first half was where I noticed in the most. My eyes don't work as well as they used to, but I think it looks like he had 5 points on 2 of 4 shooting, hit a free throw, 4 rebounds in, 9 minutes, most of that in the first half. So, I mean, yeah, for a guy, I don't know why I still have Christian on the collar thing. Sorry about that, guys. When I get everything ready, sometimes I miss the most obvious things. Stupid. Yeah. Chris Moore, back from the brink a little bit. I wonder, with Al out, he had a chance there to play a little bit. Leor got, I think, 3 shifts. Devin got a bunch of shifts tonight. So that's kind of how they were working with it. And they also played 2 for up top with Wen and Zepp together a lot to kind of make up for the wing situation. When Al comes back and plays a bunch, I wonder a little bit about where Semo fits in, because it starts getting thick there at wing, because obviously Al deserves 25 minutes a game. Then you've got Dev. Leor, to me, has proven himself. I think he's worth 2 shifts a night. He made a great pass for a dunk tonight. He also had a couple shots. One of them he hit, one of them he missed, but he's pretty good. And then you've got Semo. We'll see how he works in there. Let's see. Kyle S. thinks Kentucky's going to lose. JB DC Elite had just texted me and said LSU managed at home to hang on to beat Kentucky with Ty Ty and Severe Wheeler in the locker room. Interesting. What was going on there? I don't know anything about what was going on. I know you guys think that I follow Kentucky real closely. I'm not talking about JB. I'm talking to you guys, the populace, because I went to UK, but I don't really. I just follow Auburn, really, and pick up stuff as it comes along. Corey Dub says Frank Martin had a really long hair attached to one of his ears. The camera kept hitting it. I couldn't look away. Oh, man. God bless that guy. I used to think Frank Martin was insane. Remember when he was at Kansas State and he just always looked like he was about to kill somebody? And now it's almost like you see him and you think, oh, he's a nice guy. We know he's a nice guy now, but he still goes in those rages. Grindworks in the house says, how are you doing today, JGT? Great to have you here, Grindworks, one of our football guys. Glad to see you on the basketball side. AU Taxman, one of our Hall of Famers, says UK sloppy with the ball tonight. Probably the ref's fault. Yeah, get on the UK board after a conference loss, and I can't imagine the carnage. You think things are bad when Auburn loses the Birmingham Bowl. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see. Stoop Up says, I like the 2-point guard look with Wendell and Zepp on the floor tonight. Worked great against a team like South Carolina who likes to reach in on and presses the ball. Yeah, they're really pushing it tonight. They got crazy with how far out they were pushing, and that's when Wynn really torched them. I think Wynn had 14 in the first half, something like that, and a lot of that was because they were pushing up so much. And, the scouting report really had been – I didn't realize this was sticking in my face. The scouting report generally has been that Wynn does not beat people off the dribble too often. So South Carolina comes in thinking, okay, we can push out on Wynn, and I don't think he'll be able to get around us, but he did. And once that happens, there's not really an easy way to fix that problem. Let's see. Patrick D says, for those coming to the Oats Death Match on February 1, we need to get a bunker pregame gathering going. Hell yeah. Are you coming to Auburn? Hell yes. I can't necessarily say I'm in because I don't know what the time of that game is. But if that's a game I'm going to be on the air, you know what I got to do. But if that's not a game I don't have to be on the air, I would love to meet up with you, bro. I prefer it if you were DJing, but, whatever. Nick the Pipe Player's in the house. Nick the Pipe Player, who is a little bit more significant to us than now. This is my friend Nick that I met in Punta Cana last summer. He's a Purdue fan, and Purdue lost the other night in basketball to Wisconsin, I believe, but they are going to be a factor in the national championship race. So love to keep an eye on that and see what happens with Purdue. That's just a team for Auburn to kind of watch down the road. Patrick D says he's flying in on Monday, my man. Whew, I'd love to hang out, man. I prefer to see you DJing, but, I'll do what I can. Let's see what else. Riley M says, get those likes up. We only got 19 likes. How about that? We should be doing better than that. Notorious MGM says UK is missing their stellar D coordinator. I think he's on assignment. We don't know exactly where because they like to keep that stuff quiet, but I think he's on a golf course. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. He's now working in Central Michigan, so he's fine. Chip says, hey, Auburn crushed that LSU team like a bug recently. I do remember that. That game happened not too long ago, right? Feels like a long time ago, but it was only 6 days ago when Auburn won 70-55. And again, I don't think LSU gets the best coaching in the world. I think that's a good assemblage of talent, good assemblage of long, tall dudes that can bounce, et cetera, and they will out-athlete you at times. And I like their point guard a lot. I was kind of thinking he might go to Auburn. He looked at Auburn, but I think Auburn folks are good with the situation right now at point guard. They're not stars, but they're good. They're good at what they do. Caddy Wampus jumps in, my man. Quiet support. He's the quiet storm. Yeah. Appreciate you, Caddy Wampus. What a legend. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, I've got to go to this other page. Let's go to our box score page where I pulled up the Ken Palm. This is something that I know Crocosile's already taken a look at, for sure. But you can see Auburn in some of the rankings over there. This does take into account the South Carolina game. So let's see, adjusted defensive efficiency, they're number 5 in the country now. And then offensive efficiency, they're 19. This stuff's getting almost ridiculous. I bet you there's not more than a couple teams that are top 20 in both categories. And then you can see just defensively, the numbers are insane. Block percentage, I cannot believe there's a team that has a higher block percentage than Auburn. Auburn currently is swatting almost 22% of the shots against it, which is just insane. There's somebody that has more than that. I would like to know what's going on in that situation. Auburn's 2-point defense is terrific. Auburn's 3-point defense is actually pretty good. It's just not elite. And, of course, you guys know the steals. You watch the team. You know what they do. They knock the ball around. Who had Dylan Cardwell with the 3-steal game, huh? Had 2 early and then another one in the second half. If he can bring that every night, man, that would be huge. That would be huge. So, yeah, that's the scouting report basically for Auburn at this point, which is you're pretty much FUBAR. I do think that this game is going to change some opinions about how you defend Auburn. I do. I think they're going to think twice about pushing out unless you have an elite on-ball defender that you're confident can disrupt when. Because Zepp's a little quicker. Zepp was just kind of in a weird mind space tonight, I think, because he had a lot of people there. He played at Charleston for a long time. I think he was kind of, which is not too far away. I think he was just kind of out of his headspace because typically, man, he is crazy efficient And tonight, not as much. I also wanted to show you guys real quickly the latest from Synergy. I know some folks are big Synergy fans out there. This is definitely next level stats kind of stuff. I don't see how these numbers could reflect what's happened tonight, because these folks actually break down the film. It's kind of like PFF, except their numbers very, very closely match. Okay, so PFF, which you guys know, Pro Football Focus, the football coaches do their own grading, and they don't really give a shit about PFF, and they don't necessarily agree with what PFF does. This data right here from Synergy, this is stuff that Auburn looks at. I mean, all teams, I can't say every team, but most teams look at and consider, and Auburn does for sure. So these numbers matter. This isn't bullshit here. Auburn's, you can see that the top numbers here are transition. Auburn is rated very good in transition offense, 70%. As far as their rank, 1.075 points per possession in transition. They were at a higher number back a month ago. They were like in the 95 percentile, but to me, that's just kind of slipping back to the mean more than, they're having trouble. They seem like a pretty efficient, effective team in transition. They're just kind of coming down a little bit because the competition's moved up a little bit. An overall half court, they were horrible in the half court early in the year. They were in the bottom 15, 20% through 5 games, but now they've definitely picked it up, and I think a lot of that is because the set plays. I remember there was a really nice set play for Simo, kind of a down screen where he rolled around and caught his guy with a block or pick, whatever, from Walker down the baseline. Ball came in right on time. He just turned around and did a little one-handed dunk. That kind of stuff is stuff that BP's been adding through the season as he kind of sees what everybody's good at, what Wen's good at, what Jabari sees well, what Zep sees well under pressure. And they've kind of adjusted their stuff a little bit, and so you're seeing that number rise a lot. A lot of times for teams, that number doesn't necessarily rise a bunch during the season, but for this Auburn team, it has. I would anticipate that getting back up into the 70 range. I don't think they're elite half court because I don't think they have enough dudes that can just beat you on the drive. But you do have Jabari, who's a tremendous mid-range shooter. You've got Wen, who's a tremendous long-range shooter. And then you've got some other dudes like Zep, who's a good three-point shooter. Jalen's a good three-point shooter. So you've got enough shooters. They're going to be good, and I think they're going to get a little bit better, but I don't think they're going to be elite. So we'll just see. As far as play types there at the bottom, you see transition. For a Bruce Pearl team, that is very common to be leading in transition. Fundamentally, he's a guy that gets out in transition and beats you with his athleticism. He loves talking about defense. He's talking about deflections and getting the ball out. Spot-up shooting, again, something that you see a lot of from a Bruce Pearl team. They typically shoot a little bit better than that. 56% rank, 56 percentile, rating good, not a problem. It's getting better. You would expect it to be a little bit better than that, but it's improving. Pick and roll ball handler. That's where Auburn was bad last year. They just didn't have guys that were good at that, and that's specifically why they went after Zep Jasper, because he's good at that, and Wen has improved at that as well. So they're moving that number up a little bit better. That was a mess early in the season. Back cuts. 132 points off back cuts this year. I bet you they didn't score that many all of last year. And here we are, 40% of the way through the season, and they've got more. They're very, very good at that. And I think that's a function of just good coaching. They have some great coaches. You talk about Burgo, BP, Chad, Coach Stephen Pearl, Wes, and Ira. I think Burgo had the scout tonight. So they're just getting tremendous coaching. I don't know what else to tell you. We talked so much about BP, and he's awesome, but there's a lot more to it than what he does. It's not just him, believe me. I know you guys know that. Let me get back over here. We got a super chat coming through from Blake, one of our newest bunker members. But again, an old hand here at the Brain Drain says, my daily contribution, War Damn Eagle. What an absolute stud, man. Let me give him an air horn for that. Appreciate you, Blake. You've always been so daggone supportive, and you represent for us a real strong point on the East Coast of our Brain Drain spread and bunker spread. So we appreciate that. Typically, Why Not? I think Why Not moves around some because he's a high roller, but I think he's based on the East Coast as well. So It's great to have two big-time studs like that. War Eagle 0008. My man says, squad, sorry to have been absent lately. Yeah, I missed you, bro. Holiday's a busy time. Didn't know we were draining. I know. We talked about it during the last show. My thing is, like, when we have a palatable start time, I like to get a show in. So tonight we start at 5:30 in our time zone. It's currently 8:30. There's a lot of people that can make it at 8:30, and I'm glad to have you guys here. For instance, the Florida game on January 8th on Saturday, that starts at 7 Central. It means we wouldn't start until 10-ish. And that's getting kind of late. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on that one. An 8 o'clock start is absolutely out of the question because our friends in the Eastern time zone, that's 9 when you tip. So we may be in a situation where we don't have another brain drain for a little while, but I'd hate to go that long. We'll just kind of do it by ear. Let's see. Corey says we need to have a Final Four party in NOLA this year. Would be epic. Well, listen, bro. If Auburn makes the Final Four, we're going to have a bunker party. I promise you that. I'd have to do it because I kind of made fun of my friends at the Rebel Grove site for them having the Sugar Bowl. They made the Sugar Bowl this year, and they didn't have a party. I was like, how can you be in New Orleans and not have a party? So, therefore, I would have to do it. I'm glad you reminded me of this, Corey Dub. Brian, 9451, what an absolute stud. Best post-game basketball coverage out there. Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate you, man. I know you've been here a long time with us, and it's appreciated. Sure. Corey Dupp with the super chat. My man, what's up? Represent MGM. No one drains better than the JG. Word Eagle. I like to think so. I think that, we do the drain. We do the drain. Patrick D says, us on Eastern time, appreciate that. Yeah, it just gets too late, man. I think you and I are, well, you might be a little younger than me, but it gets a little late. For me, a little earlier, a little late. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it does. Kyle S. says, hope this team doesn't get complacent. We ain't done yet. That's what I like to hear. Good approach to that. I do think complacency may end up being one of the toughest things that they've got to deal with. Not yet necessarily because it's still new in the SEC season, but there could come a point. To me, right now, you're building toward this Kentucky game on the 22nd, and that's not to disrespect Alabama. Alabama's really good. They're going to be challenging for the title, but that's always kind of a big game. I think Kentucky's going to be the big game. It's going to probably be a national CBS game, and then it kind of, you can get into an area there where you're at Georgia, at Arkansas, A&M, Vanderbilt, where it's going to require, I think, you're going to have to fight through it, You're going to Vanderbilt, or Vanderbilt's coming here, you're not going to be like, it's Vanderbilt, Billy McCaffrey he's not walking through that door, fans. So you kind of have to fight that complacency. Good point, Kyle. Ravine says he's a big fan of Cardwell. Wish he could get some touches on offense. I agree completely. I'm still really intrigued with Cardwell. I'm not giving up on him until the day he hangs it up because I just feel like he's got it in there somewhere. He's kind of turned into like a Horace guy where he's just he's overwhelming you with just the positivity and the fun aggression. You know what I mean? I think there's more to unlock with him. I don't think that's his ceiling. I think he can do more. Crockett Boo says they break it down on how quick they get a shot off, less than 10 seconds into transition. He's talking about the synergy stuff and the spot on the floor where the shot was taken. Yeah, I do. That data is tougher for me to get. I mean, I can get it, but it's tougher for me to kind of explain it. You and I are like, we do a lot of data diving, but it's hard for me to kind of explain it sometimes. Pocket Watch is a huge synergy guy as well. That's what I like to hear. War Eagle 0008 jumping in. My man. I mentioned you earlier with your great comment. Now you've got a super chat coming through. We've always struggled with zone. Tonight was no different. Ways for us to improve this. Thanks for all you do, JGT. So I have something I want to say about that. So Auburn had that lull in the middle of the second half. We talked about earlier where Zepp had the 2 turnovers, and then before that he had 2 bad shots. So it's kind of a rough patch for him. As soon as they switched back to Wynn at point guard, South Carolina immediately went to a zone. And they did that just as a mental disruptor. So how does Auburn improve against the zone? I thought Auburn did okay against the zone, and in a general sense, Auburn should be good against the zone because the easiest way to beat a zone, honestly, is just shoot over it. And Auburn's actually got shooters now, several. So in a sense, a lot of times you can just shoot over it and get out of it. Now, in the days or in the games where you don't have your good shooting, you have to be more methodical about it. The trick is the first thing you got to do is you got to have a point guard or somebody on the ball who recognizes what's going on. Now, he's going to hear it from the side because, BP and Stephen Pearl and those guys are going to see it. but you've got to recognize it, and then you've got to call it, and you've got to administrate sets that are specifically aimed at attacking zones. And BP usually has game to game like 4, depending on who they're playing, but they'll add some or take away some, but it's usually 4 sets. I'm not going to tell you what they're called, but they're usually named after other college teams. It seems to be random, too. It's not like Syracuse, which would be a zone team. Everybody knows they're a zone team. But I know, for instance, I think they changed it, so it's not a big deal. But UConn is one set. So he would say UConn, and then they would set themselves, and they would run a play specifically for zone. You've got to have a point guard that here's UConn, administrates UConn, and knows how to trigger UConn, okay? Basically is the bottom line. I thought in the past Auburn's point guards did not do that very well. Jared was good about it, but it took him like 2 or 3 years to get that in that flow. And it wasn't until he was a junior, I guess his last year at Auburn, that, let's see, Crocky Poo says one is called UConn. Crocky Poo said, I heard that a bunch versus Syracuse. Yeah, that's definitely one of their, I guess I shouldn't have said that. Well, I mean, if you were sitting by the court, you would know it. And I'm sure these coaches that scout them know it. But yeah, so that's a zone set. It's called UConn. UConn doesn't even run a lot of zone. It's just something I think BP just kind of comes up with names. Anyway, I'm sitting there babbling about the zone. So yeah, it's more about acknowledging it and then administrating it. And it seemed like Wen picked it up pretty quick. It really only took 2 possessions for Wen to pick it up, and they started running zone stuff, and South Carolina backed out of it. And there's not many teams out there. South Carolina is a good example of a team that kind of dabbles in zone, but they don't really play it. I mean, Auburn is that way too defensively. Auburn does have some zone sets. They didn't run any zone. It seems like Chad, who has a background in zone when he coached, has kind of added some of that, and Auburn will run maybe, I don't know, 2% of their defense is zone. Actually, I can look that up, Crocky Poo. It's right here on the synergy stuff. Auburn's defense this season, they have defended 700 possessions, and they have run 30 possessions of zone. So what is that? 5%? That's actually more than I thought it would be. Anyway, 5% of zone. They rate as very good in zone, and they rate as excellent in man. 81 percentile in zone, 92 percentile in man defense. So, just for the record, all of Auburn's defensive numbers look really good, except for one notable exception is spot-up shooting. They're in the 29th percentile, and that's something I'm going to have to talk to them about and just kind of figure out why you would be excellent in transition, excellent against pick-and-roll ball handler, excellent against ISO, excellent against back cuts, but then bad against spot-up shooting. I don't really understand that. Yeah. Anyway, War Eagle 0008. I hope that helped you a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily like some voodoo. It's just about knowing what you're looking at. And you get so used to playing against man that it just feels funky, I think, when you get against a zone and all of a sudden you got a gap, whether you're not expecting a gap against a defender. And then you're always worried about, like, it's like in football, you're always worried about a robber, like a quarterback's worried about a robber sneaking into a zone, like lingering in a zone and picking off balls. It's kind of like that. Patrick D says, who will be Thugga's next basketball coach? The answer is Tubby Smith. Thank you very much. Thank you. Renard's in the house. Is JG, my man. What's up, Renard? One of our friends from the football brain drains. Patrick D says he will be partying and he will throw down some DJ sets. My man. I'm fired about this. Notorious MGM says basketball schools drain after midnight. Oh, man. Way to take it to me right there. But oh, he's punching me in the gut. Ravine wants to know if Pocket Watch is in the suite. My first question is, were you in the suite? Who was captain of the suite? And if he's still in the suite, that really says something about how much he owns that. He must own Colonial Life Arena. Let's see. Corey says, when showing the upcoming schedule tonight, did they list the Bama game next week as streaming only? Is there a way that could happen? There's no way. That's a huge game. Pratt Tiger says, love the basketball brain drain. War Eagle. War Eagle to you, sir. I imagine you're in Prattville. Yeah? Welcome. Fellow capital city area habitant. There's a few of us. Oh, man, I hope to get an answer on that sweet situation. Chip says, I'll pass along some of my savings on those last bags of discounted Christmas Reese's Cups to JGT. My man Chip out there fighting on the front lines, bro. He's doing some of the dirty work out there for society right now, so I appreciate you, bro. Corey says we had no issues destroying the Syracuse zone. There's no doubt about that. Syracuse is not very good this year, but that was a really good test for Auburn to have. You play against a whole bunch of zone sets, and I thought they did a really nice job. It helps a lot when you're zoning that you've got Jabari, right? Because Jabari is one of the truly great mid-range shooters, and I mean you can put him wherever. He's a 42% three-point shooter. He's like a 55% shooter from two. So I mean, you just put him somewhere and let him shoot. He's gonna wreck you. Although Corey notes that this is the first game he can remember of Jabari's shot not really falling. He was okay today. Again, my eyes don't work as well as they should. 3 of 8 from the floor, but 2 of 3 from 3. So I don't know. I mean, he was pretty good. Sophia Kaimina. What's up? How you doing? I'm not as good with my Cyrillic as I used to be, bro. My bad. Let's see. Patrick D says, will Kessler's legs hold up through the SEC grind? That's a great question, too, because they didn't really hold up as well through the UNC grind last year. But Auburn, without going into too much detail, Auburn feels like there's some things that they have done and will continue to do to make sure that they can avoid that. Walker's the kind of kid that wants to be at practice and do everything that everybody else does. He's just that kid. But they limit him some at practice. And I think that's probably a wise idea. Particularly in the offseason. They don't have him out there doing wind sprints and shit like in June. It's just not. It just defeats the purpose. Ravine says, when Jabari's having a slow night, we've got to get in the ball close to the rim and let him see the ball going through the hoop. Then he can work his way out. Interesting idea. Yeah, he never really got going tonight, did he? To me, that sounds like more like something you could do for KD, who I thought was off tonight, and his defense really lacked. I feel like he's a guy that almost like the scoring is like the juice that he drinks or the spinach, and it gets him all pop-eyed up, And the scoring wasn't there tonight, and so I think it kind of affected his defense a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like he was a liability or anything, but he can be like a truly outstanding on-ball defender. And I thought tonight he was just so. I just thought his shooting and lack of touches on the scoring end kind of affected him. And it's something he's got to work on. See, Crocky says, I don't think we'll struggle against teams that run mostly zone. It's going to be the ones that dabble with it. That's a good point. There's just not many teams that run full zone anymore. And there's none in the SEC that I know of. Sam H. thinks the bots are now in the chats. And Yo Malcolm says, thank you for correcting me on that, bro. He says, practice. I got one of those on here.
If I come in here and look swole and big and strong and tough, y'all gonna give me that award, right?
My man. Oh, I love me some Allen Iverson, man. Oh, my God. Oh, here we go. Here's the other one.
We're not even talking about the game, the actual game. When it matters, we're talking about practice.
Love me some Allen Iverson. My all-time favorite rant. And that thing went on for 30 minutes, y'all. Y'all might have thought you've seen it all, but you've only seen 2 minutes of it. I'm telling you. Allen Iverson is such a deeper dude than I ever gave him credit for. Like early in his career when he was at Georgetown, I just thought he was a goob. Let's see. Pocket Watch says, at Ravine, no longer in the double Andrew Jackson suite plus fees. Who all was in the group, man? Who was in the crew? Chip is also providing updates on the final non-playoff bowl football game. Well, let me rephrase that. The final bowl game that's not in the playoff. Chip says Kansas State leading 7-0 over the hated LSU Tigers at the end of the first quarter. And AU Taxman correctly notes that Jabari, even though he had an off night, did hit a big bucket there to kind of spark that final revival, if you want to call it that. I think the lead was down to 8 maybe or 10. And Auburn had a bunch of empty possessions. I think Andy was saying in postgame it was a 6-minute drought of scoring. That didn't seem that long to me, but whatever. I was getting the postgame wrap ready, so maybe time was going so fast. But anyway, Jabari hit that shot from the elbow, and it seemed to just kind of revitalize everything. And I think from that point forward, the lead went from like 8 to 16 in a hurry. See, Patrick D says our real test is Tuscaloosa win there, and then people start taking us seriously nationally. Honestly, man, I think people already do, but I understand what you're saying. Alabama's good. They're a good team. One thing that would concern me if I were an Alabama fan, Auburn's a very deep team. Auburn's got essentially an entire second posse or like a second, like 1.5 posse. I mean, they've got like 8 dudes that come off the bench. And you start looking at what they do. I mean, Wendell comes off the bench. Jalen comes off the bench. Semo, Leor is what he is. And then Cardwell. And then you're going to have one more coming off the bench when Al gets right back next for the Florida game, presumably. So Auburn's got a sick-ass bench, man. And Alabama really doesn't. Alabama runs 8, I think. I think JD, who I really like, he's from our area. I think he's really their 7th guy, 6th or 7th guy. And he's a really, really good player to be your seventh guy off the bench. But I think Auburn can go a little deeper. Crocky Poo, whose words on this I monitor very closely, says cannot look past Florida. Cannot look past Florida. Let's take a gander, shall we, at the Florida Gators from a KenPom perspective. I haven't quite figured out how to share my my browser window. We're working on that. You are still dealing with a 49-year-old man who was playing Atari not too long ago. I don't mean in today, but I mean in my lifetime. So let's take a look. I got to do screenshots and screen grabs to show you guys. It works better this way, believe me. Let me switch over to my box score page, which is there. And we'll turn this one off, and we'll bring this over to take a look at the... Oh, Jay, what have you done? Take a look at the Florida Gators. 9-3, but they still have to play Alabama tomorrow, so, you know that might go. Looks like KenPom's got that tentatively set as a 75-74 Florida victory. Looks like defensively they're pretty good. Not quite Auburn, but pretty damn close. They get a lot of steals, block a fair number of balls, and a great free throw defense. That's what you like to see when you're Coach White. So it looks like a team that's okay offensively, very good defensively is what I see there. Well, they're probably better than okay offensively. They're pretty damn good. And again, they got Alabama tomorrow night. That's gonna be a tough one. And it looks like their losses are, with the exception of Texas Southern. They probably had guys out for that game, didn't they? You lose at Oklahoma. I mean, that's not a big deal. You lose some on the road. It's just part of life. And then you lose to Maryland. I don't know anything about that game. It's kind of a stinker. I don't think of Maryland's being very good. It's just one man's opinion. But Crocky Poo, I respect your opinion on this. Looks like they do a good job of really slowing down opposing attacks. Just kind of getting in the lanes and forcing teams to pass the ball more. So, Sam H says, is Florida like LSU but a little less athletic? That is an interesting point. Let me take a look at this roster. The roster's changed so much. Castleton, of course, we know him. Good long power forward dude. I can't tell who's playing and who's not, Crocky Poo, honestly. It looks like they've had dudes that were out. A lot of dudes that have been out. Let's see, point guard 6'1", shooting guard 6'3", small forward 6'5". No, they don't seem particularly long. So, LSU's crazy long at every single position. Patrick D says that Marquette is crushing the Providence Friars. Interesting. Actually kind of like Providence as a Catholic man. I feel like that's one of our prime colleges. And nobody's worried about Providence, right? In Auburn, they'd be like, that's a school. Oh, didn't Billy Donovan play there? Yeah. Beth Mowens, too. Let's see. 10-0 says JG. We got some breaking news from the social media side of things. JG, Caleb Williams, the talented Oklahoma transfer quarterback. Well, at least he's in the portal. He has the option of coming back to Oklahoma, but he is currently in the portal. Just followed Tank on Instagram. At Auburn Football Instagram just followed Caleb today. Fingers crossed. Interesting. Caleb Williams, again, the very talented quarterback from Oklahoma who hit the portal, I think, 2 days ago. I firmly believe Auburn is a potential destination for him. That's not bullshit. And there is something to the relationship between the new offensive coordinator, Austin Davis, Russell Wilson, whom he coaches with the Seattle Seahawks and has for a while now. And apparently Russell Wilson has a relationship with Caleb Williams. So sometimes it sounds like a game of telephone a little bit, but, sometimes things like that actually come around. And if Russell Wilson's been very outspoken in how much he likes Austin Davis. If that's something where Russell Wilson gets involved and says, if you want to get some NFL coaching, why don't you just go play for the guy that's been coaching my ass? You know what I'm saying? I would find that very persuasive if that was me. So we'll see. And I do know this. I mentioned this on the rundown today, that when Auburn was considering people to be the offensive coordinator, there were conversations about, well, what's your vision for specific quarterbacks that you would have here? I.e., let's say if JG was interviewing. They didn't interview me this time, but maybe next time. They would say, hey, JG, which quarterbacks would you bring with you? Presumably, possibly, who would you have your eye on? So I'm sure they've had that conversation with Austin Davis, and I'm sure he had an answer for them. I don't know exactly what it is because Auburn's playing very close to the vest on this, as they should. Sam H. also says that Austin Davis has followed Caleb Williams as well. Of course, Corey Dubs says, didn't Mario follow half the team last year? There you go. So, Julian, there you go. So he asked JG, any shot you can provide news on Caleb Williams' transfer? I'm going to be looking into this more. I hope to have some more information on this in the next 24 hours or so, because I was thinking that Auburn is going to have its quarterback set up pretty soon, like within a week. And that was before I knew anything about Caleb Williams getting in the transfer portal. And that may have changed that a little bit. Because I think Auburn's definitely in the thick of it with Zach Calzada. But I don't know, we were talking about this on the rundown today. I don't know what role he fits. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. To me, and I like Zach Calzada more than most because I don't like Jimbo, and I thought that Zach Calzada was working in an impossible situation because Jimbo's so hard on him, and he hadn't hardly played at all, and it was just stupid. So, when I look at his numbers and people are like, well, he didn't do that well, I was like, dude, he had that crazy-ass coach up his ass every minute of his life. Of course he was bad. I do think Calzada's a good player, but I don't think he's the guy you bring in and say, Natty, you know what I mean? I don't think so. Just out here riffing. Patrick Day says, Caleb Williams is coming. Buckle up. Those families are from up here where I stay. All right. When Patrick D says something, I'm listening. I'm going to tell you that. He's one of those guys that's got my ear. Daniel P. jumps in with a super chat. Hot take. Auburn has a really good basketball team. Wow. Let's see. I'll just give you a laugh on that. That's funny. Yeah, they do have a pretty good basketball team. I agree. Auburn's pretty solid. They're pretty good. No, they're better than 6 wins. Maybe 6 wins in a month. Blake R says, it's all about the connections, baby. Them ghosts like Swayze. Ravine says, if we get Caleb Williams or some quarterback with known talent, do you think that improves our chances of landing good transfer receivers? Fuck yeah, of course. Yeah. Yes. Those conversations absolutely occur. If Caleb Williams were to come with Auburn, immediately you'd have people that would be like, I want to play with Caleb Williams. I don't know whether that's their number one receiver at OU or what, or who it would be. Crocky Poo in the house. What's up, bro?
What's up, JGT?
Word. Appreciate you jumping on here and super chatting earlier, too, as well.
Yeah, no problem. You've been doing a great show, and I wanted to, show my support because these are some of my favorite content for basketball games, and just love watching it after games.
Word. Well, we love having you on, man. You're a good font. You're a font of information, both here and also on the website too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been having a little bit of free time on my hands, so love looking at the games and just going through all the numbers and stuff and reading it.
What jumped out to you about this particular basketball game?
Well, before I start on that, I just wanted to say I put up a post on the bunker about Wesley Steiner. He's been going through some trouble, and he's asking for some Auburn family help. So wanted to promote that for people to go look at it. He has a GoFundMe set up because he just lost his mother, and he's trying to help pay for his grandmother's bills.
Man.
You know.
Oh, that's tough, man.
Stuff. Yeah. So just bunker family out there, just go see my post up on the bunker, and it has a tweet with a GoFundMe that he's linked. So.
Word. Okay.
Yep.
Let's consider doing that, guys. For sure.
All right. So the game was, it was really, really good first half. I wasn't expecting that, with all the stuff pregame with Flanagan being out. Didn't really know how they would handle it because in the pregame I saw Stevenson. He's one of their main threats, and that was Flanagan's assignment. So if they just found out that news last night and putting Cambridge on him, that's a tough run.
Yeah.
And it kind of showed. Cambridge's defense hasn't been that great. And it just kind of showed, but they were able to, just limit the damage to just Stevenson, which was, all you could ask from him.
Yeah, dude's a
great
shooter. He's a shooter, isn't he?
Yeah. And the other thing, he's not just a shooter. He does everything, like rebound, steals. He's just a machine. But I thought the main thing they did was just limit Levque. He's their best player. He's at center. He's one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. And I think he got his rebounds. He was under his average, but he still got his. But they just, they limited the damage to just those two players and were able to run away with it. It was a good showing with some chaos pregame.
Yeah.
Good from the basketball team.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about how they had to change quickly defensively when they knew that Al wasn't going to play because he's a major defensive element.
Yeah.
Yeah. Devin ought to be a better
Yeah,
defender, Crocky, because he's a great athlete and he's been playing a long time. I don't understand it.
It's mostly just from what I see, his feet kind of move slow. I don't know. He doesn't really pick them up. And if you watch a Coro in that same spot a couple of years ago, he was constantly moving his hips, shifting. His feet would always be moving. And Cambridge kind of drags it. So he's slow to get to his spots, it feels like.
Yeah. It's strange. I know he's a great athlete. We've seen him jump and stuff, and I've seen him in practice when he's really quick, but just defensively, not quite what you would have want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Crocky.
The other one I wanted to point out was just Chris Moore was a beast tonight. His energy and rebounding was something we saw at the beginning of the season, and it kind of fell off, but he picked it way back up today.
Yeah.
Just good to see.
Yeah, he had basically zero the last 3 games, but I thought he was a factor today for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be good to have him down the road. I think he's ultimately going to be like a 9 guy, like a 9-10 guy, but
yeah,
if you can have a great 9 or 10 guy, might as well,
Yeah, just the main thing was people playing within their roles, like Chris Morgan, offensive rebounds, fighting on the glass. That's what this team needs, especially with Flanagan out. And Cardwell too. Cardwell came in, subbed for Kessler, and gave us extremely good minutes.
Yes.
I know South Carolina likes the pick and roll a lot, and he would just get up on that the high screen and fight through it, get steals, which just disrupted them completely.
Yeah. I think he's got a lot more in the tank, man. I think he could be an even better player than he is right now. But hey, he was great tonight. Yeah. He was great tonight. Hey, you mentioned in the chat earlier. Yeah. You've got concerns about Florida. Tell me about it.
Florida, just what I was seeing. I know Castleton has been in the running for SEC Player of the Year just based on Kim Palm and Bartorvik's stats. So I know you can't really look past them, and I know we got a big Alabama game coming up, but Florida's not a joke, man.
Yeah.
They're really good. They have that one bad loss, and then that's about it.
Yeah, looks like they have
business. 3 good players from what I'm looking at. DeRuggi and Fleming Jr. Let me see. I think those are forwards. 2 wing players and a center. So there you go. They got long guards on the wings. It's going to give us trouble. Do we know if Flanagan's going to be back?
I would think that he would be, because I don't think this is a COVID situation. I think he has like an
Just
actual
feeling sick.
Yeah, he's got like an actual stomach bug or something, just like we used to have back in the olden days.
Yeah, we're going to need him. Yeah, all their wings are huge blockers, and Castleton's just a beast. That'll be really interesting between him and Kessler.
Yeah, that's a rare two big guys,
Yeah, he gets most of his points from getting fouled. So that's definitely a worry with Kessler. We can't have him getting fouled out.
That's a good. You might need Dylan in there a lot too. Use his full foul allotment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at it this morning. Dylan's main problem is fouls. I think he had a foul rate of, if he played 40 minutes, he'd get like 7.5 fouls. Which is just, not good.
That's like the big tall guy from Spain Park. Come on, played at Auburn.
Riley?
Yeah.
Riley?
He used to. He had crazy foul numbers like that.
Yeah.
What was it? 3 years ago, his foul rate was like 8.5 per 40. Oh well. Crocky Poo, as always, you're a legend. Your content is unrivaled when it comes to basketball. We sure do appreciate you being on the show, being on the bunker, and just being a legend.
Thanks, JGT. Yeah, but good rest of the show.
All right, see you, brother.
See ya.
There he is, Crocky Poo, the man himself, the legend himself. As Crocky Poo was getting going, like Javon McCormick in his second step toward a dunk in the lane, Patrick D jumped in with another super chat, as he is prone to do, and we love it, of course, when he does it. Give him one of these right here. Saying that he saw Jackie Sherrill on ESPN. I would like to hear the story behind this. The last time I saw Jackie Sherrill was when he rolled into the Auburn Athletics Complex unannounced in about 2000 to have a meeting with Tuberville on his way out after the Mississippi State debacle. Probably still one of the strangest things I've ever had happen, because I was just kind of chilling and, hey, man, I think it's me and Jason were together. And we're like, that's Jackie Sherrill. And then we we talked to him when he left, and he said something like, I just wanted to come by and wish Tommy well or something. And then we caught up with Tommy, and he was like, fucker. It was funny, man. It was really funny. Patrick D says Crocky Poo is the man. I agree with that take. Pocket Watch says, Crocky Poo, why are you not with us in the shadows of the South Carolina capital of bourbon? You're missing out on the lamb burger. D Lucky in the house as well. Wow, one of our absolute studs. If Patrick D does recruiting info like he does DJing and super chats, we Gucci. Telling the truth about that. Although the reports that I got on scene there at Penn State suggested that he indeed is a terrific DJ. And then, as he discussed on the show in the fall, he actually DJ'd. I guess you don't lose your DJ ability. He is a DJ. Not necessarily his career right now. But, yeah. He knows what time it is. Also, Crocky Poo had mentioned at the top of his call about Wesley Steiner. Looks like his mom passed. I hadn't seen this, and that his grandmother was looking, needed some help. And Corey Dubb, I think, said he had contributed, and a couple other folks too. Was it Stephen L? I'm sorry, it got away from me. Yeah, it just got away from me. But I know some folks had said they had contributed, and that's just really high quality right there. That's good stuff, guys. I can't believe I lost that. Sam H says, where's Auburn alumni been all season? Great question, man. He used to call us all the time. He's a great caller, especially during basketball season. Yeah, I tell you what, I will send him a message and see what's going on with him, because I miss him calling in. He's a really good, thorough basketball caller. He's a good football caller too, but he was really notable for his basketball. This is like when we first started doing brain drain basketball shows, he would call in. I mean, he was ahead of the curve on that stuff. Mama Dad in the house. I did not see him. Oh, here he is. D Lucky's a Mount Rushmore drain caller. Absolutely. D Lucky's he's just generally Mount Rushmore, period. He's been on the bunker for like 75 years. I don't know if you guys know that. He'll probably tell you he's about 35 years old, but whatever. I can joke about it. Because I've had bourbon after midnight with him more than once. Let's see. Oh, we're talking about the weather being weird. Blake R says, bro, I literally grilled out in shorts and flip-flops Sunday evening. It was in the 60s where he lives. And woke up yesterday morning, snow coming down hard with temperatures in the 30s. Welcome to America, yo. It's been a weird week. Hell, we had one of our bunker members. I can't remember who it was. Was it Rick? Rick Dalton, I think it was, who said he was he hadn't lost anything in the fires, but he was close to the fires out there near Boulder, and that fire was put down by a snowstorm. Has that ever happened before? Where like a wildfire is stunted by a snowstorm? It's crazy. Anyway, Mama Doodat up in the snow zone too, and Mama Doodat probably hears a little bit about Purdue as well. I know he said he had visited the Mackey Arena. Or Mackey Center, whatever, I'm sorry, the Purdue home court, where Big Dog Robinson once played, and Konzo, however you want to call it. By the way, Missouri is really bad this year. I didn't have any idea that Missouri was going to be this bad. I mean, sheesh. They're having a lot of trouble. I hate it, though. I like Konzo. They have now lost, let's see, 4 of 6 with wins coming against Eastern Illinois and Utah. They have lost to Liberty without Malik Willis. The Kansas Jayhawks, no loss. I mean, no big deal there. Illinois is actually pretty good this year. And Kentucky. So those really aren't bad losses aside from Liberty. But they've also lost to Missouri, Kansas City. It's going to be a bumpy ride, folks. Or as Andy would say, it's going to be a bumpy ride, friends. They are currently either at the bottom. Let me see how close they are to the bottom. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country, yo. I mean, real bad. Holy shit. They're 356th out of 358. There's only 2 teams in the country that shoot worse from 3 than they do. South Florida and Florida A&M. Oh, boy, it's going to be a rough ride. Hope Gabe's ready. Anyway, I don't know why I'm bringing up Missouri. Auburn is going to play Missouri on Tuesday, January 25th, but it's a long way off. There's still a lot of meat on that bone, as Doc Dumpster would say. Let's see. There's some funny stuff going on. E. Mike says Kansas State now leading 21-0 over LSU. I know you guys are really, really sad to see LSU getting crushed like this. It's tough. It's tough, guys. Just pull yourself together. It's going to be okay. Pocket Watch says something that was probably true about a year ago. Mizzou folks want Konzo gone. Coy Deb says the wildfires out near Boulder started from a power pole falling. It was so dry that sparks created a fire. How about that? Mama do that. I was mentioning earlier, had a chance to go visit the Purdue Arena, and are you serious? No, this is. I was saying that to a separate thing. Said he got to meet Coach Painter, Matt Painter, the coach at Purdue, former Southern Illinois, right? Salukis coach. A great guy. Would love a Final Four matchup between my beloved Tigers and the Boilermakers. I would like that too because Pipe Layer Nick's a big Boilermaker guy, and I've always liked Purdue. Even though Gene Cady seemed like kind of a jerk, now that he's really old and shit, everybody's like, oh, he's actually a really nice guy. I'm like, he didn't seem very nice. Kit Copeland says, just in, Auburn, Instagram, and Twitter have unfollowed Caleb Williams. Is that true? Is that actually accurate? Are we getting down to the minute on the follows and unfollows? Or are you just teasing me? Because you could definitely pull one over on me on that. Stephen L says, no, man, I didn't donate. I'm sorry. That's me. That wasn't you. That's not your fault. That's on mine. I thought it was you. I know it was Corey Dub for sure. Sam H says, good night, y'all. Thanks for everything, JGT War Eagle. Appreciate you, Sam, for super chat and, of course, just being your legendary self, hanging out with us tonight. Fat Crack says, dodging tornadoes up here in Madison Saturday night and then had 4 inches of snow Sunday. Crazy, and now we have forecasted again Thursday night. I know Bob Mapplethorpe said he was going to be doing some stuff up there. I was really hoping to get up there and be part of that, but it might have been tonight. I don't remember. Anything that's going on in Madison and the people are doing it, like the bunker people are doing it, I'm at least halfway going. Anyway, Kit says, yes, I just looked. All right. Well, we got breaking news. Kit. Back to you, Kit. Good stuff. We'll see if maybe they fall back here in the next hour or two. I don't know. Maybe it's on off kind of thing. We may just wrap it up there. I mean, I don't know. You know, these brain drain shows after basketball games are usually a little shorter. Crocosile was our featured caller tonight, which is a great guy to have as a featured caller. But I feel like we've kind of gotten to the end of the road on this one. I can't play the song or else Dolly Parton's people will come try to sue me. But all in all, a very successful night for Auburn. Great start, I thought. Had a little lull there in the second half, as will happen, because Auburn's such a big game these days. Everybody's thirsty to have a run at them. Got that down to, maybe 8-ish, something like that. And then they put Wynn back in the game, and Jabari hit a nice little shot from the elbow, and boom, right back out to 15. Sometimes that's all you need. Notorious MGM says, need Gabe on G-Pits to break down Missouri basketball and the quarterback transfer. That's right. Basilak is bouncing. And, yeah, that's interesting. He hadn't found a new home, though, right? I don't think he has. I think he's a pretty good player. To me, there's not a big difference between him and Calzada, but. Torre says, does Flan have COVID, or did he eat a bad piece of fish last night? Oh, yes, I remember. I had the lasagna. I think he's just got like a non-COVID virus. That's what I've been led to believe. So he would not be out for a long period of time, or at least you hope not. AU Mike says, I just donated $18 to the NIL fund. Williams is a lock. D Lucky says, Saturday drain for sure, right? So this is after the Florida game. 7 o'clock tip, 8 o'clock for our friends in the Eastern time zone. We're gonna have to discuss that on the show on the bunker, because I don't like going. If you look at the next time frames, I mean, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Those are all kind of late games, and they're not perfect for brain draining. But we'll figure out one way or another. I'm not going that long without doing a brain drain, so we'll figure something out. D Lucky. Corey did say, so is it Caleb or bust? We're really not running with the calzone, are we? I feel like Caleb is the number one option, like the guy they're pursuing most ardently right now. But no, I don't think it's Caleb or bust. I don't. I think there's a lot of guys that are involved here, and but I think Caleb Williams. I think they would wait as long as it took to feel like they had done their best effort to get Caleb Williams. We'll put it that way. I feel like a stranger says draining is a Saturday night tradition. You know what? You're damn right about that. That is what we do, isn't it? We drain and we drink on Saturday night. So, by the way, I've dried out the last 2 days, and I've got a winner-take-all Raiders game Sunday night. Pretty fired up about it against the hated Chargers, who I really used to like when I lived in San Diego, but since they left San Diego, I can't really rag on them too much because, my Raiders have left lots of places. Anyway, winner take all. I'm going to be doing some drinking Sunday night too. Let's see. Matt K says, does Doc not call into the drain anymore, or does he have his own show? He definitely doesn't have his own show. Maybe he does his own show for on the phone or something with somebody else. I don't know. But no, he just hasn't called in lately. You're right. I'm not really sure. I never pushed for him, I guess, on the football shows, and he's never been a basketball guy. I mean, I think he likes it, but he never felt like he knew enough about basketball to call in, But, maybe we'll try to push to get Doc on. I mean, Doc's still on the board, obviously, and he's a guy that we like a lot. AU Mike says our behavioral routine is to drain, drink, discuss, and dry out. The 4 Ds, right? That's pretty good, man. The 4 Ds of D's nuts. The 4 Ds of the brain draining, that's right. Patrick D says, is Jonathan Wallace playing quarterback for LSU tonight? If Kansas was playing, they might have a shot at playing him. Let's see. D Lucky says, I'm being selfish. Little D Lucky has made me miss the games live. Have to rewatch. Should be good for the Florida game. All right. Well, that sounds like a winner then. Let's see. Chip says, Doc would join live if JGT broadcasts from a truck stop shitter. It's probably about right. D Lucky says he has that Doc has a show via fax. I can give you the number. If you guys are too young to know what a fax machine is, it sounded like that. I can't believe we used to fax things. I fax things from my grandparents' company back in the 90s frequently. That's crazy. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Oh, Darkside says, JG, I'm a Duke fan. Duke and Auburn. Duke. Can you just say Auburn? I'm not going to spend 1 minute talking about Duke. I hate Duke. I've always hated Duke. Krzyzewski's a fraud. And although I like you and you're a tremendous part of the show, I'm going to choose to not associate you with Duke. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. Blake R says Doc is the GOAT. Yeah, we love Doc. I mean, he's definitely a friend of the site. 100%. He's outstanding. Mama Dudette says ban the man who is a Duke fan, but he's also an Auburn fan, so that does give him some, that does give him some love, some respect. Chip says they still fax NLIs on NSD. Do they really? No, they just send PDFs, don't they? Yeah, anyway. Darkstar says, yes, Auburn, I know you hate Duke, that's why I said it. Man, you get me charged up, man, because they're playing tonight, right? So I know who I'm going to be cheering for whoever they're playing. Patrick D is signing off. Says, night homies, big production day tomorrow. There he goes, man. There he goes. An absolute stud. Thank you, Patrick D, for jumping in, bro. Jumping in and balling out as is customary for you. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Looks like my man D is texting in to say, have you ever faxed a dick pic back in the day, parentheses, hurt like hell? With that, kids, I think we're going to wrap it up, man. Oh, man. Looks like Corey Dub is out as well. Darkside says, JG, my pops play for Auburn. All right, you're fine then. I wish you would give up the Duke thing, but whatever. All right, guys, seriously, we'll wrap it up there. Even though our numbers are still pretty good, I feel like we should shut these things down. I mean, I don't mean for these to be really long and drag on and on the way we do during football season. So I'll wrap it up there. I was not going to do a show after the Florida game Saturday, but D Lucky is I think he's convinced me. So we'll plan on that, and if something changes, I'll let you guys know. If there's something crazy going on late Saturday night or whatever. Anyway, and also happy birthday to my mom, who turns I don't know what her age is exactly, but the 4th of January is always my mom's birthday, and we appreciate my mom, Miss Tate. She's good people. Went by and saw her today. Said what's up, and she said to do a good show. So there you go. Appreciate you guys. So much for supporting what we do here at Auburn Sports, here on the Brain Train, for the NIL stuff. Appreciate you guys doing that. And if Crocky Poo had made a post on the bunker about Wesley Steiner kind of sending out a beacon for some help because his mom passed away. So consider donating to that too. And also Dan the Man, his daughter passed away recently, and he was encouraging folks to give to St. Jude in her honor if you choose to do that. And I know a lot of people just give to St. Jude anyway, so I appreciate you guys. Very, very generous group of people we have at auburnsports.com. So we're going to wrap up there. Appreciate you guys. Also for the happy birthdays for my mom. Appreciate you guys. Feel like a stranger. AU Mike, Stu Pup, D Lucky, others. We will check you guys on the flip side, and we will communicate on the bunker about what we're going to do. So until then, keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Behave yourselves. Let's make great decisions out there. And, of course, get some. See you guys.